time I studied art, so I'd been doing study groups for about maybe 6 months a year, or I'd known about Adi Da for about a year and a half. I was a new devotee, not been more than 6 months being a devotee, I don't think. And I really we were just talking about the community. I'd kind of felt like these aren't my people. It just felt very contracted. It felt very rigid. I couldn't feel people feeling, and maybe that was all me, but I just thought I need to go to a place that's been so heavily infused with him. I need to be there. And I was like, the hand has been beautiful, but I need to go to the Mountain of Intention. I've got to go to the Mountain of Intention. So me not being the most rule following kind of person, I kind of thought, well, I'll just book my flight and then I'll let them know I'm coming. Right? Obviously there's a process. Okay. So I booked my flight, and then I've gone to Guruvar, and I said, oh guys, I booked my flight. I'm going to Mountain of Intention like in like a week or so. And they were like, sorry, you're going where? I said, Mountain of Intention. They were like, who have you spoken to about this? I said, well, no, I'm just telling you now, and I'm like, there's a process you have to go through. You don't decide that you're going to go. And I said, why not? I don't understand. Well, no, you have to do this paperwork, and we've got to sort it out with them. And now Adi Da was in Fiji, and he'd been in Fiji for, I don't know, it's last time I think he was there was in 2000. So it'd been like 5 years. He was in Fiji. And I think there was like no talk of him ever going to the Mountain of Intention. We're now talking about 2005, okay? So it's 2005, I'm going to Mountain of Intention, I've told them. Adi Da's in Fiji, and I'd already been told, this is one of the problems I'd had was, oh, you'll never get to see Adi Da. Someone like you will never get to go to Fiji. So I'd heard this kind of stuff. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'll go to the Mountain of Intention. You'll let me go there. Surely he's not even there, So I've gone down. So I bought my ticket with them. They said, no, we can't go. At this point, I have been I'm back in the UK, no drinking, no smoking, no sexing, no nothing. I've been doing the practice. I'm talking about putting a bit of weight. Food was my only pleasure. Like I've gone all out doing the disciplines because I want to get as close to him as possible in body. But they've said, oh, you've got to be purified in your body and all the rest of it. So I'm thinking, okay. So I'm getting ready for eventually one day I might be allowed to see him. Anyway, so I've done all this. I'm going to Mountain of Intention. I said, nope, you can't go. So I was like, went straight from child to adolescent. Fuck you then. I'll go to the Sonar Festival in Barcelona, one of the top electronic, amazing music festivals. So I was like, right, I'll go there then. And then I'll go, once the process has been sorted, I'll go to Adi Da. So I had to rebook my flight for, further a week away or whatever. Went to the Sonar Festival. Not done any drugs, drunk, smoked for 2 years, prepare myself to go on retreat. Within 24 hours, I've smoked a spliff, taken 2 ecstasy tablets, snorted cocaine, and probably done a few psychedelics the following day. I've got no idea. All I know is 4 days later, I come back on quite a serious come down. And all I'm thinking is, what have you done? What have you done? You're going to the Mountain of Intention like tomorrow. You're going to the Mountain of Intention tomorrow. What have you done to yourself? And I was like, never mind. Anyway, I get a phone call from Georgia, and she goes, you're going to Mountain of Intention tomorrow, aren't you? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, guess who's going to be there? And I went, who? And I'm thinking, you're coming? What? And she goes, no, Adi Da just left Fiji to go to the Mountain of Intention. And I went, no, he can't come. He can't come. I'm fucked. I can't. And it was the most divine grace, because had I gone when I wanted to go, I would have missed him, because I could only take 2 weeks of leave. So if I'd have gone the time that I'm going now and not booked it for later, I wouldn't have been. And I ended up arriving on the same day that Beloved arrived.
Wow.
Yeah. So, so I arrive. I think he'd arrived earlier on, and I arrived later in the day. So I get there, and I remember being at, and I've forgotten the name of the room. I do have to apologize. I've got such a terrible memory, but it's the room where the retreatants would go. And I'm there, and people are like, who is this girl? Because, a lot of devotees kind of know each other, and I was kind of quite a new devotee. And there were a couple of other new devotees there. And I remember looking out thinking, is that Adi Da there? Is that Adi Da there? Because I'd see like a guy, and there was one guy, I think it was one of his like bodyguard kind of guys who had like similar kind of hair. And I'm thinking, is that Adi Da? And I can't see long distance. So I'm thinking, is it not? Do I put my hands up? When do I put my hands up? Anyway, so I was a little bit like this. So anyway, so that night there's darshan, and it's been my first time to see Adi Da. And I've seen some darshan, but I'd never seen darshan from the perspective of the devotee seeing it, or only through a camera. So I don't know where people sit, what goes on, I'm not sure. I've never been in that situation. So we've gone, and then they've given me this like white cloth thing you put around you. Yeah, white scarf. That's it, a scarf. Thank you. And now, bearing in mind, Adi Da's just arrived, so people haven't all gathered. So there's probably, 40, 50 people or whatever in this. It's a very small hall we were in. And so because I just arrived, like more devotees started coming. As soon as everyone heard Adi Da's amount of attention, and he wants to see everyone, as soon as that was there, people were flocking in. But I think I was quite lucky, and I will say lucky, because it did feel quite intimate, especially for my first experience to be in such it was quite a small hall with beloved Adi Da Samraj.
Was this in the pavilion, or where was this?
No, it's one that was, I very rarely, no, it was smaller than a pavilion. I'm not sure of the name. I'll find out. It's very wooden. I'd only been in there a couple of times, but it was one that didn't go into too often.
Okay.
Because it was often quite small. So I was in there, and they said, "Oh, come in, sit down." And I was like, no, you need to be at the front, they said, at the front, because you're a retreatant. And I'm like, huh? So I'm like, right at the front there. Actually, I think there's one row ahead of me. So I'm sitting there. And of course, ADD, what other labels I've got. Can't sit still for more than I've got a chair that rocks, sitting here, So I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, did they just invoke? And I'm on a come down practically. So I'm thinking, oh my God, you've got all these drugs in your system for 2 fucking years. You were cleaner than a nun's ass, and you're now like so toxic, and you're going to meet your guru. This is unbelievable. Like, what have you done? So I'm sitting there, the guilt, the shame, the feeling of worthlessness. It was all of it just vroom, came up like I was like this like volcano erupting. So I'm sitting in absolute fear. So you asked about fear earlier. I felt the fear. At that point, I felt the fear. It was real. Because I'm going to see him now. I'm not prepared. And also the energy, he's there now, and I could feel him. I could feel his force, and I could feel the fire. It wasn't just beautiful anymore. It was all of it, So I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden, my heart was petrified, and then all of a sudden, my heart just starts beating really, really fast. And I just know he's coming. Because we were obviously waiting. A good hour passed, and there was chanting, and I was just like, didn't know the words anyway. So, like this, trying to mime it, it was all going terribly wrong for me. And then my heart just going. And then beloved Adi Da just started walked down. And then he sat in front of me, like literally like this. And I was like this. Didn't know what to do with myself. Everybody's kind of like, and I'm like looking away, looking down, and he's, just goes around the room, and then he just started from this end of the room and just started looking individually, giving his blessing to everybody. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to look at me. He's going to look at me. He's looking at everyone. He's going to look at me as well. He's going to look at what am I going to do? And then he came round, and I had the shame, the anger, the worthlessness. He hates you. Just love. Everyone loves you. Just love. This is my mind now. Jacob's out of back to square one. And going round. And then he looked at me, and I was like this. No, just smiling like a Cheshire cat. I didn't know what to do. And I was there, and then my smile started to retreat. you know, because it was forced. It was like, I didn't know. And then he was still looking. And I was like, oh my God, he's still looking. And then I closed my eyes and thought, when I open them, he'd have stopped looking. And I opened my eyes and he's still looking. And then he kind of turned his head, and he didn't wink, but just felt like, he turned his head a bit, and it was almost like, and everything just relaxed. And I was like, he does love you. You know, it was like, but it was almost like, because I was so afraid, and it was just, I don't know if I saw something that wasn't there. I really don't know. What I know is as he turned his head, there was this sweetness, is the best way to describe it, sweetness. And so he carried on looking around the room, and now I'm just kind of like, Jacob's ladder's come down, and I'm feeling more like, you know, like a children's cartoon again. Everything's kind of soft and fluffy. I think it's over. And then he starts looking back round again, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he's coming round again. So he kind of looked around. And this time I'm thinking more prepared. And this time I'm able to just say, just love, just love, just love, just love. You're loved, you're loved. And then he looked. And I, you know, just looked back, but obviously like deer in the headlights kind of looked like this probably. And then he did something like this. Something with his mouth. And literally it was like, as he did that, it was like, like that. And I literally felt like, it was almost like air vomit. Something was just taken. I felt it taken. And then I've very rarely cried in public. I cried for 2 solid weeks everywhere. You know, it was like, and cut out again, yeah. I cried absolutely everywhere, and I was so broken, so beautiful, so in pieces, in absolute adoration. Couldn't get close enough. I was just like literally, you know, pushing. I had to be at the front every time. I just wanted to be as close and want his regard, you know. And that wanting, I know that's not what it's about, but you know, this is my first time seeing it done. I was just like, oh my God, like I never ever want to leave, never ever want to leave. So, and then it was just a very sweet time. And then of course I think over like 300 devotees, 500 devotees, I'm not sure how many devotees ended up coming. It was a really, really big, became very, very big. And then it was interesting to see it grow and grow and grow. And I kind of like got lost and then got really connected with so many beautiful devotees. It was just like such a wonderful, wonderful time. There was one other time when I was again at the front, because I was on retreat the whole time, so we'd always be kind of at the front. And then there was a situation where it was outside by the bathhouse, and we were all there chanting, and below Adi Da Samraj was sitting. And he walked down, and then he came and sat. Bathhouse was behind him. We were all in front of him, and everybody was offering gifts. And I just remember specifically, he came in, and then he just smiled. And when he did that, it's almost like the smile went on me. And I shit you not, I thought I'd taken magic mushrooms. I spent the next, I was like this, I had scratch marks on my legs. I'm like this, trying to keep myself together, because all I wanted to do was laugh. It was this unbelievable. And that's when it was, because prior to that, my feelings had been like more internal heart, like my heart with a cage around it, and beloved, like just going, But by the end of that retreat, it was a coming out, and I felt like something spiritual happening. I don't like to use that word because I can't attain to get to know what that really is, but it was something beyond anything I've ever experienced, something beyond physical. I'd never experienced those things with drugs. I'd had magic mushrooms a couple of times in my life, and so probably something akin to that. It was something akin to that, but bigger, and without anything, him the energy, the way things moved, everything around him, the way life just, things made sense in a different way. Everything was like that cartoon again. Everything was just like beautiful. There was so much beauty.